know about Bhagavad Gita. You have at least heard about it, but very few know what is Bhagavad Gita. So this ancient wisdom, which contains the manual of human race, this we try to decode so that we can gain benefit from this knowledge which Krishna spoke. I am sure you are interested. That is why you are here. So when you are here, so please try to bring your attention also here so that you can gain from this learning. Approach it through the invocation. This is the invocation. So you please recite with me, those who can recite. Otherwise, please hear. Shrirupam Sagrajatam Sagan Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश धारिणे. Thank you. Hare Krishna. So Bhagavad Gita is presented on the battlefield. It's very interesting. Have you ever seen any classroom which is on the battlefield? This is unique. Krishna is explaining the discourse of the psychology of the human mind. But our mind is, of course, you can relate that the mind is as similar to the battlefield. Why? Because there is always a tug of war. Yeah? Our mind may give so many proposals, but our heart does not agree to many proposals. Or our heart may give some proposal, but our mind does not agree. So there is always a tug of war. There is a conflict. There is some opposition, and there is, of course, some aggression. So it is very befitting that Krishna chose the battlefield, because this knowledge is for those who are in this age of Kali. And in the age of Kali, the human mind is always like a battlefield. It is always in unrest. Krishna has already spoken that. Arjuna said that Chanchala hi mana Krishna pramati balvadrinam. So how to tame and control the mind? So Krishna gave the first mind control seminar ever given in the human race is Bhagavad Gita. How to control the uncontrolled raging mind. Okay, come here like a child. Cannot sit. Sit here. Sit and hear. Come. Sit. So Krishna has spoken about the living entity, focusing on all of us on the first 6 chapters. So the first 6 chapter talks about what the living entity performed in this human form of life, which is called karma. And now from the 7th chapter, Krishna is focusing on Ishvara, one who controls everyone, the manifestation in the form of material nature and also the jiva. So in this 7th chapter, which is knowledge of the absolute, we have so far discussed 21 verses. And initially Krishna spoke about the benefit of this knowledge. For us, we have this first FAQ, frequently asked question. Why should I study Bhagavad Gita? What is the purpose or what is the benefit of studying Bhagavad Gita? You remember what is the benefit Krishna spoke? What is the benefit why we should study Bhagavad Gita? People are not captivated. People are not, attracted. Why? Because they do not know what is the benefit that they will achieve. What is the benefit? What did Krishna say in the first 3 verses? What did he speak? He glorified this knowledge. And why this knowledge is very important. What did he say? Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshyami asheshta yad gyatva na bhuyat gyatavyam avishishyate. So I will impart to you, I will reveal to you, I will enlighten to you both knowledge and realization. We may have so much knowledge or information. You can go on the Google and have as much of information. There is no dearth. Actually, there is a oversupply of information or so-called knowledge. But what is rare is realization. Do we have realization? We don't have realization. So Krishna is giving both. And when one is situated in this knowledge, one will be free from all kind of suffering. So it is important for us, if we really want to experience peace, or if we want to experience some joy or happiness in life, we have to first be free from sufferings. A person who is suffering, can he experience any joy? There is no possibility. So if we are situated, why persons are suffering? The reason, the core reason for that is ignorance. Ignorance. So ignorance can be removed by knowledge, and that knowledge Krishna is imparting in this chapter. And then he spoke about how to be able to see that Krishna is the controller, or Krishna is the source. Here, please here. Krishna is the source of everyone and everything. So he spoke about how many aspects he spoke? How we can see the presence of Krishna? Anyone remembers? Yeah. Yeah. So as he says is, Bhumirapo nalo vayu khammano buddhi revacha ahankariti mayam mein bhinna prakriti rashtrata. So first he talks about his inferior nature, and then he talks about his superior nature. And then he also speaks that how one can see his presence. He gave 14 examples. Yeah. And then later Krishna spoke about how one can surrender to him. Everyone is bewildered by the 3 modes, and there are 4 types of people who can surrender unto him. Those who approach him, they are all Sukritana. And there are 4 types of people who do not surrender unto Krishna. So there are two categories. One is called the atheist. You understand what is atheist? Those who don't believe in the Supreme Lord. But the other is those who are theist, those who approach. But then there is another category who do not surrender to Krishna, but they surrender to others. And what are these? These are demigod worshippers. So what is the position of the demigod worshippers? Because, in the society we see every individual has his own choice, his own preference. So what determines the choice, what determines the preference, that analysis also Krishna is giving here in this section. So those who are not the worshippers of Lord Vishnu or Krishna or Lord Ram, and those who are the worshippers of demigod. So what is the distinction between the two? Anyone remembers? What is the distinction? What makes one to worship demigod and what makes the other worship the Supreme Lord? Desires. Very good. Based on one's desires. When one is very much captivated by material desire, so he approaches the demigod. Yeah. So that we discussed. But in spite of approaching the demigod, they are of course not in knowledge that the demigods also do not have the capacity to grant any boon or any blessings on their own individually. They are dependent on the Supreme Lord. That Krishna will speak from 22nd verse. So let us discuss from 22nd verse onwards. You have all opened? Ramya, help them. Open 22nd verse of the 7th chapter. Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktas Tasyaradhanam ihate labate cha tatha kama mayyeva vihitan hitan sataya shraddhaya yuktas tasyaradhanam ihate labate cha tatha kama mayyeva vihitan hitan. Now your turn, please recite. Go ahead. Simple. Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktas Tasya Aradhana. See from the word meaning. When I am reciting, you should focus on the word meaning. Tasya Aradhanam ihate labate tatha kaman tan vihitan hitan. Mai eva vihitan hitan. Okay, good. Recite. Tataya Shraddhaya Yuktas Tasya Radhanam ihate labhaketa tatha kama Mai eva vihitan hitan. Mai eva vihitan hitan. It is all arranged by me only. Although it is being given by them, but they receive it from me and then only they pass it on to their worshippers. Okay. So Krishna says, endowed with such a faith. Sataya Shraddhaya. Shraddha means faith. Faith in their respective worshipable demigod. Who? The demigod worshippers. What do they do? Tasya Aradhanam ihate. Aradhana means to worship. So with faith, they worship the respective demigod. Why do they worship the demigod? Labhate ta tatha kaman. With the desire, with the intent for their desire to be fulfilled. Simple. So what is the purpose? Purpose is Ma Murade Puri kar de. That you please fulfill my desires. That is the purpose. So is there any relationship there? Is there any connection? No. But he says, Krishna is saying even though whatever desires that they will get fulfilled, eva vihitan hitan. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. Okay? So just see the translation. Endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. So Krishna is talking about the difference between those who are the worshippers of the demigods and the worshippers who are his devotees. So what is the distinction? Why Krishna is so much in favor of his devotees? Because his devotees do not worship him to fulfill their material desires. They worship him out of love and affection for him because they want to serve. So let us see Prabhupada's commentary. The demigods cannot award benediction to their devotees without the permission of the Supreme Lord. The living entity may forget that everything is the property of the Supreme Lord, but the demigods do not forget. This is a very important aspect. Like you have this academic set up here in IARA. So your apex body or the highest decision making authority is the registrar. What do you say? Or the dean? Director. Or the director. A department head, he cannot make final decision. Can he make any final decision? He has to seek permission and approval from the director. And director also cannot make any policy change. He has to seek permission from DG. And DG is also dependent on the agriculture secretary. Yeah. And the secretary is dependent on minister. And the minister is dependent on prime minister. So there is a chain of authority. But a student may not know it. Does a student know? The prime minister is totally not going to approve my problem. So similarly, the demigods are what? They are all appointed authorities in respective positions within the chain. But they do not have the capacity to award any benediction. So here it is being said, their worshippers are not aware of it. But the demigods themselves are aware of it. They know. Those who are giving this benediction, those who are passing on actually, they are aware. The worshipper may not be aware. So the worship of demigod and achievement of desired results are due not to the demigods, but to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by arrangement. So this is an arrangement. Like I was just speaking to one car agency who did some repair of our car. So I asked him to give, some concession for charges. So he could not decide. He asked me time, and what he did, he got the approval from his owners. When they consented, then he passed that to me. Although I did not speak to the owner. He, on my behalf, he spoke. So this is how it works. The demigods do not have the capacity or they do not have the power to bestow any benediction to their worshippers. They receive it from the Supreme Lord and they pass on. This is a very important aspect. So the worshipper may not know it. Worshipper may equate the demigod to be even more powerful than the Supreme Lord. But by his saying so, the demigods do not become supreme. The demigods are aware of this fact. The less intelligent living entity does not know this. And therefore, he foolishly goes to the demigods for some benefit. Why demigod worshippers are called less intelligent in Bhagavad Gita? Because they are not aware of this fact that whatever reward or whatever result that they are achieving is from the Supreme Lord. So they are going how? Indirectly. Indirectly. So they are less intelligent. But a pure devotee, when he is in need of something, prays only to the Supreme Lord. Asking for material benefit, however, is not a sign of a pure devotee. So there is a contrast, there is a comparison that the two types of worshippers. One type of worshipper is that which wants to fulfill his own material desire. So he is not pure. His desires are not pure. But the other type of worshipper, that is the worshipper of the Supreme Lord, he is a pure devotee because he does not have any separate desire. He does not have any material desire. His desire is only one, how he can please the Supreme Lord. So if this desire is there, if this purity of the desire is there, where he does not see himself separate from the Lord, this is very important. Most of us, we do not see any connection with the Lord. So we think the Supreme Lord as another entity and we are another. And we are meant to receive from him some material gains or material boons. But one who is actually in knowledge, one who has received this knowledge, it is called the Sambandha Gyan. Sambandha means relation. So one who has established the entire purpose of our study is to invoke Sambandha Gyan. Hare Krishna. Welcome. Acha, yeah. Yeah, good. Very good. That is eagerness. It is called eagerness. If this is the most essential aspect of receiving any knowledge, is how much eager we are. Even for our eating also. However good may be the food, but if there is no appetite, then you cannot relish it. So here, this class of men, those who are very much captivated for fulfilling their material desire. So, in a way, material desire, what it does, it covers the intelligence. It is there. That is why they are called less intelligent. So, what they think that the demigods are all in all. And by pleasing the demigod and receiving benediction from the demigod, they can achieve the perfection. But we will see what do they achieve. Asking for material benefit, however, is not a sign of a pure devotee. A living entity goes to the demigods usually because he is mad to fulfill his lust. So where is this material desire coming from? See, your desire and my desire are different. You can say, Prabhu, you are in a temple, you are in renounced order, but I am in IRI, I am a student. But amongst all of you students, you may be in the same class, you may be in the same division. Still, two individuals, is the desire same? No. You may be both students, you may be both studying the same subjects, but still the desires will vary. So, every desire, so desire has a foundation. It has some root. It has some basis. So this is very interesting. So what is the basis of the desire that the individual has? That Krishna has discussed in the second chapter. The basis of the desire that the individual has is based on what he thinks he is and how he can be happy. A drinker has only one desire. What is his desire? To drink. Why? Because this is what his thought is. This is what his understanding is, that if he drinks, he can be happy. But one who is a teetotaler, for him, it is of no use. You give him the most expensive drink, he has no liking for it. So it is very important. So see, our desires can be changed. Our life is based on what? On desires. What is our pursuit? What is our endeavor to fulfill our desires? Gaurangi, Haribol, don't speak here. So desires can be changed. So how desires can be changed? If one's knowledge is changed, if one's ignorance is removed. So if we come to know that who we are and what will make us happy, naturally what will change? Our aspirations will change. Our desires will change. So this is what Krishna is helping us to come to know who we are and how we can actually be happy. And normally people, their desires are fueled by the modes of material nature. Everyone is very much in passion. The mode of passion is very prominent. And passion, in the mode of passion, what comes is lust. Lust means that any tendency or desire to enjoy separately from Supreme Lord. Simple. Not only in the physical form. Of course, it is one of the manifestation. But lust simply means any desire to enjoy separately from Krishna. Is lust. There are different degrees of lust. There are different levels of lust. But primarily all material desires are based on lust. Hare Krishna. Come, sit, find your seat. So that means if the presence of lust is there, that means there is absence of love. Both cannot coexist. If there is actual love, there cannot be lust. And if there is no love, what will exist? The lust. So if one is at the level of lust, what will have? Material desires, material aspirations. So Bhagavad Gita gives us the aspiration to cultivate love for Krishna. And if we are able to do that, then all our material desires will convert to become spiritual desire to serve Krishna. This happens when something undue is desired by a living entity and the Lord himself does not fulfill the desire. I think we did this in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is said that one who worships the Supreme Lord and at the same time desires material enjoyment is contradictory in his desires. We discussed this. Devotional service to the Supreme Lord and the worship of the demigod cannot be on the same platform. This is very important. Someone who is studying in IRI and someone who is doing his private coaching cannot be on the same platform. Because worship of demigod is material and devotional service to the Supreme Lord is completely spiritual. Why it is spiritual? Because it has no material motivation. For the living entities who desire to return to Godhead, material desires are impediments. A pure devotee of the Lord is therefore not awarded the material benefits desired by less intelligent. It is very important. So we see many times we say that those who are good people, those who are law-abiding people, they seem to be having difficult time. But those who are mischievous people, those who are manipulators, those who always bypass the rules and regulations, they seem to be enjoying, isn't it? Many times we complain. Our mind, many times gets agitated. So here it is being said that those who are the worshippers of the Supreme Lord, even if they have material desires, the Supreme Lord will not fulfill their material desires. Why? Because the Supreme Lord wants them to achieve perfection. So it is like a parent and a shopkeeper. An example may be given. Like a child, if he gets some currency, he gets some money. Yeah. If a 10-year-old boy, he gets 10 rupee note and he goes to the shopkeeper and says that give me cigarette pack. What the shopkeeper will do? He will take 10 rupees and give the cigarette pack. But if he goes to his uncle and says that you please take 10 rupees and give me one cigarette, what he will get? What he will get? He will get a slap. And that 10 rupees also will be kept. Yeah. So then the boy will complain. He said, there is no point in going to my uncle because he will not allow me to enjoy. But better for me, my relation with the shopkeeper is better. Is it actually better? Yeah. So that is why they are called less intelligent. So a pure devotee of the Lord is therefore not awarded the material benefits desired by less intelligent living entities who therefore prefer to worship demigods of the material world rather than engage in devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Then what is the outcome of such award or such benediction? Haribol, come here. Come. Come. Sit down. Sit down here. Next verse, 23rd verse. Antamantu phalam tesham tadbhavati alpamedasam devan devyajo yanti Madbhakta yanti mamapi.
Madbhaktayante mamapi.
So what is the outcome? What is the result? And what is the destination? Two kinds, we have seen two categories of worshippers. One is the demigod worshipper and one is the worshipper of the Supreme Lord. So what is the differentiation? Krishna says, Antavantu phalam tesham tad bhavati alpa medasam. Medasa means intelligence and alpa means less. So those who are less intelligent, those who are worshipping demigods, so whatever results or reward they get, it is anta. That means it will come to an end. It will have a beginning and it will also have an end. So that means it is there only for some temporary time. It will be finished. And those who are worshipable worshippers of demigod, Devan Deva Yajo Yanti. What will be their destination? They will go to the places of demigods. But Mad Bhakta Yanti Mamapi. But those who are worshippers of me, they will reach me. This is a big difference. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. This is a very big difference. We will further discuss it. Some commentators on the Bhagavad Gita say that one who worships a demigod can reach the Supreme Lord. But here it is clearly stated that the worshippers of demigods go to the different planetary systems where various demigods are situated. Where demigods mainly, where they are found? Yeah. Hare Krishna. Okay, Prabhu. One moment. I'll arrange some space for you. So we see in the upper planetary systems, the heavenly planets. So mostly the demigods are there. And what the demigods do? They try to enjoy life. And that position is not permanent. They, after Shine Punne, Martalokam Vishanti. Like you have a bank account. In your bank account, you have, by providence, you have received from your parent, say 10 lakhs. And you are every day withdrawing. So what will be the result? After some time, that 10 lakh will be exhausted. And then if you sign a check, your check will be dishonored. So similarly, here Krishna is saying that men of small intelligence worship the demigod, but their fruits are limited and temporary. Okay. And those who worship demigod, they can never reach the supreme God. But here it is clearly stated the worshippers of demigod go to different planetary systems where various demigods are situated. Just as the worshipper of sun achieves the sun, or a worshipper of the demigod of moon achieves the moon. So some people worship sun also and moon also. Similarly, if anyone wants to worship the demigod like Indra, he can attain that particular god's planet. It is not that everyone, regardless of whatever demigod is worshipped, will reach the supreme personality of Godhead. Prabhupada used to give one example. Anyone remembers the example? The example is given like if you want to travel to Mumbai. So you must have a ticket for Mumbai. If you go to the platform and take any ticket and sit on any train, can you reach Mumbai? No, you cannot reach. Hare Krishna, come here, come here, come, sit. Come. Ah, acha, yes, the doll is there. Okay. Keep your attention here. Don't allow the mind to get distracted. The very important aspect which Krishna is revealing here. So we have to be very clear. Many times we are very much allured for temporary benefits. Actually, we do not know what is temporary and what is permanent. What is actually benefit and what is harm. That requires realization. So here Krishna is giving us the principle that on what basis who will receive what. Many times in life we complain, why this happened to me? What did I do? I did not cheat anyone. I did not rob anyone. Why this is coming to me? You see, mass of men. Most of the time, you will see people complaining, huh? Giving so many reasons that why they are suffering. So here, this is one of the reasons. What is the reason? That we are very much inclined to achieve material benefits and we worship the demigods. It is not that everyone, regardless of whatever demigod is worshipped, will reach the supreme personality of Godhead. That is denied here. For it is clearly stated that the worshippers of demigods go to different planets in the material world. So they remain within the material realm. They may get elevated, like you have seen the game of snake and ladder. So they'll be within that snake and ladder. But the devotee of the Supreme Lord goes directly to the supreme planet of personality of Godhead. They transcend the material world and they reach the spiritual world. Here the point may be raised that if the demigods are different parts of the body of the Supreme Lord, then the same end should be achieved by worshipping them. So one argument is that because they are also the appointed agents of the Supreme Lord and they are like the parts of the body of the Supreme Lord. So they should also receive the same result. However, worshippers of the demigods are less intelligent because they do not know to what part of the body food must be supplied. This is very important. We all know where the food is. If the child is born, what does he do? He puts everything in his mouth. You give a small child anything. Where will he take it? In his mouth. Because he knows what is his level of consciousness. Annamaya means that the purpose of life is to eat. One cannot live without eating. So that is Annamaya course. So that consciousness is only contracted to that extent. So those who are worshippers of the demigod, they do not know where the food is to be put. Where the food should be put? In the mouth. If somebody puts the food in the ears, what will be the result? He will may have an ear infection. But his hunger will never be satisfied. Or if he puts it in his eyes, he will not be able to see. So this is very important. Some of them are so foolish that they claim that there are many parts and there are many ways to supply food. But this isn't very sanguine. Prabhupada uses sanguine word. Sanguine means one who is having some knowledge or common sense. Can anyone supply food to the body through the ears or eyes? They do not know that these demigods are different parts of the universal body of the Supreme Lord. And in their ignorance, they believe that each and every demigod is a separate god and a competitor to the Supreme Lord. So we have to be very clear. Like many times you see, a minister may go in his constituency, young minister, a new minister. So what they will call him? If they start calling him prime minister, does the minister becomes the prime minister? He can be appointed and he can be dismissed anytime by the prime minister. By his constituency people trying to appease him, he does not become the prime minister. Nor are the demigods parts of the Supreme Lord, but ordinary living entities are also. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, so all of us, we are all parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. How? What is the example given? The example is given of the sun and the sun rays. You have seen the sun? From the sun comes sun rays. A sun may emanate how many rays? Is there any count? No. But the source of the sun is only the sun rays is only the sun. But the sun rays, do they have the energy or the light as compared to the sun? What is the capacity? It is very infinitesimal, very fragment, very, very small, very fragment. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that the Brahmanas are the head of the Supreme Lord. So there are 4 divisions. Society was divided very scientifically. The Brahmanas are said to be the head. Head, what it does? It gives direction. If we have to move, how do we see? Through our eyes. The Kshatriyas are his arms. So Kshatriya means those who have valor, those who have strength. So how do we perform our task? Through our hands. And the Vaishyas are his waist, or also it is sometimes called the Vaishyas are the uh, abdomen, because we digest everything through the abdomen. And Shudras are his leg. And all serve different functions regardless of the situation. If one knows that both the demigods and he himself are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, his knowledge is perfect. So Bhagavad Gita is giving this principle of this perfect knowledge. Haribol, Haribol, listen here. Give the book to me. Haribol, give the book to me. Okay, here. But if he does not understand this, he achieves different planets where the demigods reside. This is not the same destination the devotee reaches. The result achieved by the demigods' benedictions are perishable, because within this material world, the planets, the demigods, and their worshippers are all perishable. Perishable means that it will not stay forever. Can let us have some discussion? Any example of demigods' benediction which was perishable? Ah, Ravan. What benediction he had? That if somebody tries to kill him, even he will get a replacement. Immediately his body will be replaced. So you cannot kill him. How you can kill him? Somebody wants to kill, he'll get a replacement. But did it stay? He was killed. Any other? Any contemporary? That is there from the Shastras. You may say we don't believe in Shastra. Then any other example? Painkiller. Painkiller is man-made. It is not demigod-made. Think? बोलो. No idea? दिमाग नहीं चलता है. Anyone online? You see, when there is famine, when there is drought, when there is excessive of rain, people make so many yagyas, so many anushthan. So what is the relief? Only for a moment. It comes back again. Does it permanently resolve? No, nothing resolves permanently. Therefore, it is clearly stated in the verse that all results achieved by worshipping demigods are perishable. And therefore, such worship is performed by the less intelligent living entity. Because the pure devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness in devotional service of the Supreme Lord achieves eternal blissful existence that is full of knowledge. His achievement and those of the common worshippers of the demigods are different. The Supreme Lord is unlimited. Very beautiful. Just here. The Supreme Lord is unlimited. His favor is unlimited. His mercy is unlimited. Therefore, the mercy of the Supreme Lord upon his pure devotee is unlimited. We see the mercy of the Supreme Lord on Arjuna. And after 5,000 years also we are hearing Bhagavad Gita. What is Bhagavad Gita? Glory of Arjuna. Lord Ram favor on Hanuman. We are hearing the glories of Hanuman. Okay. It is 8 o'clock. I'll take one more verse. So there are another kind of worshippers. So these are one kind of category, those who do not worship the Supreme Lord, but they worship the demigod. But there is yet another class, that is, who consider the Supreme Lord to be unmanifest. To see the verse, avyaktam vyaktim apannam
Avyaktam vyaktim apannam
man Manyante mam abuddhaya
मन्यन्ते मां बुद्धया
param bhavam ajananto
परमभागम् अजानन्तो
mam avyayam anuttamam.
माम् अव्ययम् अनुत्तमम्
Avyaktam means which is not manifest. Many times people say that the Supreme Lord is what? Light. Or he is unmanifest. As you see the Muslims, they do not believe in any form of the Lord. Do they believe that Allah has any form? No, they don't believe. So what they say that it is unmanifest. One devotee, he was traveling with one Muslim passenger, and they were both traveling together. They were, co-passengers on the seat. So they had a discussion. So this devotee asked that you people pray, isn't it? Haribol, come here. Varangi, इसको बाहर ले जाओ, घुमाओ. So if you pray, they perform namaz 5 times. So if you are praying, that means someone is hearing. Please be attentive. They said yes. We pray and who hears? Allah hears. So that means he has the capacity to hear. That means he has ears. They said yes. He hears and he gives us the blessings. He says if the Lord can hear, then he can see also. Well, of course, everything is known to him. He sees. So when he can see and when he can hear, then how is it that he does not have a form? Is it possible to hear and to see without having the form? So that means he has the form. But still they cannot accept this simple fact. So Krishna is saying that there are some who says that unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. So many people, when Krishna was present, they assumed that he was impersonal before and he has assumed the personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. So these are the worshippers who believe that the Supreme Lord is unmanifest. The Supreme Lord has many features. One of his feature is unmanifest also. It is called the Brahman feature. It has only one aspect, that is the eternity. But the completeness is not there. It is partial. Like some may say that sun is the sunlight. Is sunlight the sun? No. Sunlight is an energy of the sun. But sunlight cannot be compared to the sun. So here, those who consider the Supreme Lord to be impersonal. Previously, it was said that they are, those who are worshippers of demigod, they are alpa buddhi, alpa medha. They have less intellect. But here it is being said that those who consider the Supreme Lord to be unmanifest, they are abuddhaya. Abuddhaya means they have no intelligence. Those who have perfect intelligence, those who know the Supreme Lord in his personal form. Those who are less intelligent, who worship the demigods. But those who have no intelligence at all, what they believe that the Supreme Lord is impersonal. So these are the even lower in the ladder. Those who are worshippers of demigod have been described as less intelligent person. And here the impersonalists are similarly described. Not similarly described, even they are given a lower category. Lord Krishna in his personal form is here speaking before Arjuna, and still due to ignorance, impersonalists argue that the Supreme Lord ultimately has no form. So there are many, believers and followers of the impersonal section. In India, in South India, it is very prominent that they worship the unmanifest form of the Lord. So one of the great Acharya, whose name is Yamunacharya, a great devotee of the Lord in the disciplic succession of Ramanujacharya, has written a very appropriate verse in this connection. So these are one of the Acharya means one who teaches by his examples. Tvam Shil Rupa Charita Parama Prakash Prakrashtha Satvena Satvikatya Prabhalascha Shastre Prakhyata Dev Paramartha Vidhammatischa Nevasura Proktaya Prabhavanti Bodham. This is one of his compositions. He says that, my dear Lord, devotees like Vyasadeva and Narad know you to be the personality of Godhead. Tvam Shila Rupa Charita. Shila Rupa, Rupa means the form. It is known by whom? The devotees like Vyasadeva and Narad. By understanding different Vedic literatures, one can come to know your characteristics. Charita means the characteristics, your form and your activities, and one can thus understand that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance, so those who can understand, that is, they are in the mode of Satvena. Satvena means those who are in the mode of goodness. But those who are in the lower modes, those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance, the demons and the non-devotees. So here it is said that those who are Asura. Asura means the demons. Cannot understand you. They are unable to understand you. However expert such non-devotees may be in discussing Vedanta and the Upanishads and other Vedic literature, it is not possible for them to understand the personality of Godhead. This is one of the composition of Stotra Ratna. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the personality of Godhead cannot be understood simply by study of the Vedanta literature. Only by the mercy of the Supreme Lord can the personality of Supreme be known. This is what we were discussing. Yeah? That can you make the Prime Minister come to your home? Can you force him? No. But on his own, if he desires or decides to come to your house, can anyone stop him? No. Similarly, here, one can know the Supreme Person in his personal feature only by his mercy. And when he will award that mercy? When we please him, simple. If we please him, then he will reciprocate with us. Only by the mercy of the Supreme Lord can the personality of Supreme be known. Therefore, in this verse, it is clearly stated that not only are the worshippers of the demigod less intelligent, but those non-devotees who are engaged in Vedanta and speculation on the Vedic literature without any tinge of true Krishna consciousness are also less intelligent. And for them, it is not possible to understand God's personal nature. So this is very confidential. To know the Supreme Lord in his personal feature. In his personal. If we see normally also, how do we know the Prime Minister? We know the Prime Minister through his official status. Do we get into his house and know his details, his personal details? No. Who may know it? Those who have personal relation with him. And if we have personal relation with them, then we may also know. But if we may speculate that what he is or what he is not, then we may never know. Recently, Prime Minister came to inaugurate one of our temples. This month only. This month, yeah. So the president who was speaking, he gave some many inner details. What the Prime Minister likes, or what he has done. He said that, he gave an example that previous Prime Ministers, they like dogs. They kept dogs as their pets. But my Prime Minister keeps cows as the pet. And he does service to cows. And he was very pleased when he heard this. So how did he know? Because he knows someone who knows Modi in person. So this is very confidential, that it is not possible to understand God's personal nature. Person who are under the impression that the absolute truth is impersonal are described as abuddhaya, which means that those who do not know the ultimate feature of the absolute truth. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated the supreme realization begins from the impersonal Brahman and then rises to the localized supersoul. But the ultimate word is the absolute truth, is the personality of Godhead. Like we have primary education, then we have graduation, and then we have PhD. The three cannot be compared. Primary education is not completion. It is only the basic. It is the primary. So the first initial feature is the impersonal feature, then the Paramatma feature, where the Supreme Lord is pervading everywhere, in everyone's heart. But the ultimate realization is the personal form. Modern impersonalists are still less intelligent, for they do not even follow the great predecessor Shankaracharya, who has specifically stated that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Impersonalists, therefore, not knowing the supreme truth, think Krishna to be only the son of Devaki and Vasudeva, or a prince or a powerful living entity. This is also condemned in the Bhagavad Gita 9:11. Avajananti ma mudha manushim tanu mashrita. Only the fools regard me as the ordinary person. The fact is that no one can understand Krishna without rendering devotional service and without developing Krishna consciousness. So this is very important. So if we want to know the Supreme Lord, then we have to become Krishna conscious. Right now we are not Krishna conscious. We are conscious about ourselves. Where is our consciousness more absorbed? In this self. We are very self-conscious. Anything that comes, where do we connect with? The self. And what do we consider ourself to be? Either the body or the mind. Do we connect with our soul? No. That realization is not there. So, developing Krishna consciousness means to be able to see Krishna's presence in this entire manifestation. And if we are becoming Krishna conscious, that means we will be rendering service to Krishna. What is the way of rendering service? One of the greatest way of rendering service is to hear from Krishna. What are we doing now? From whom are we hearing? From Krishna. Bhagavad Gita is spoken by whom? By Krishna. So this is hearing Krishna's message and then aspiring to apply by Krishna's message is great service. So this is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam which is stated by Brahmaji. So in his prayers he is saying, अथापि ते दे पदाम्बुजो दव्य प्रसाद लेसानुगृहीत एव हि जानाति तत्त्वं भगवान् महिमनो न चान्यो एको अपि चिरा विचिन्वन्. My Lord, if one is favored even by a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the supreme personality of Godhead are unable to know. So there is a bona fide way to know the Supreme Lord, which is stated in Bhagavad Gita. Which Krishna is saying, how we can know him? Through devotional service, by becoming Krishna conscious. And instead of accepting that, if we may try to speculate or we may try to imagine, so that will not give us any conclusion. Even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years, one cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna or his form, quality, and name simply by mental speculation or by discussing Vedic literature. One must understand him by devotional service. When one is fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, beginning by chanting the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then only one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Non-devotee personally think that Krishna has a body made of material nature and that all his activities, his form and everything are Maya. These impersonalists are known as Mayavadis. They do not know the ultimate truth. So different people, those who are having different conceptions, with their own conceptions, they can never know the Supreme Lord. So we have, like supposingly you are all studying here and you want to compute your PhD, please tell him I'm having class. Please speak to him. Go outside and speak. Pick up the phone and tell him I'm having a class. Go outside and speak. So if you do not study your syllabus, you do not attend to the classes, and you think on your own, you can excel. Is it possible? What will be the result? You have to stay where you are. You will not be able to progress. So is again emphasizing that the 20th verse clearly states, Kamasya hita jnana. Clearly stated, the foolish impersonalists still maintain that the Lord is formless and that these forms are some impositions. From the study of Gita, does it appear that the demigods and their abodes are impersonal? Clearly, neither the demigods nor Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are impersonal. They are all persons. This is the revelation through Bhagavad Gita that the Lord is a person. He is not impersonal. Even if you see, when we say the government, so what it seems when as we say the word government, it seems it is impersonal. But is the government impersonal or is a person? How? Yeah, it is headed by a person. Clearly, neither the demigods, okay. Therefore, the monistic contention and the ultimate truth is formless, and that the form is imposed does not hold true. It is clearly stated here that it is not imposed. From the Bhagavad Gita, we can clearly understand that the form of the demigods and the form of the Supreme Lord are simultaneously existing, and that the Lord Krishna is Sachidananda, eternal blissful knowledge. The Vedas also confirm that the Supreme Absolute Truth is Anandmayo Abhyasat, or by the nature full of blissful pleasure, and that he is the reservoir of unlimited auspicious qualities. And in the Gita, the Lord says that although he is Aja, unborn, he still appears. These are the facts that we should understand from Bhagavad Gita. We cannot understand how the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be impersonal. The imposition theory of the impersonalist monist is false as far as the statement of Gita are concerned. It is clear herein that the Supreme Absolute Truth, Lord Krishna, has both form and personality. So this misconception should be clear. If we have studied today, what is the purpose, the gain of today's? Let me now summarize. We discussed 3 verses, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. So in this section, Krishna is talking about those who are approaching him, but their approach is not proper. Their approach is improper. The first he discussed about the demigod worshippers. What is improper in demigod worshipper? Their intelligence is covered. And what covers their intelligence? Their lusty desire of the material desires. So they are blind and they are mad both. Big example, a typical example is Dhritarashtra. He was both blind and he was mad. What was he blind for? He was blind because he could not see the fault of his sons. And what was the second part? He was always having this desire that somehow he is maintained as the king. He does not want to leave or give away his position as a king. So that is one category. So demigod worshippers are very, very dangerous. Because ultimately, they will, whatever they will achieve, they will lose it. And second is those who consider the Supreme Lord to be impersonalist. So they are directly offenders. They offend. Why? Because if someone has a form and you deny that he has a form, then you are. So these are the categories. The lowest category is those who consider the Supreme Lord to be impersonal. Okay. Any question or any doubt, please ask. That is the way, na? Please don't sit there. Ramya, don't sit there. People will be coming and going. So, yeah. So what we discussed, please try to get a. So if there is any question, any doubt, and any conception that you have that is troubling you, so please ask. Yeah. बोलिए बोलिए, be free. They are all incarnation and expansion. Very like the sunlight or the sun rays which is coming. So the Lord comes in various incarnations. And all these incarnations, they come for a specific function. Like every time, like I'll give you an example. Like very recently, we had Donald Trump becoming the president. Many state heads went in his oath taking ceremony, but Modi ji did not went. Who was representing Modi? Mr. Jaishankar, the foreign minister. So many times the Supreme Lord has many incarnations who come for specific functions. Okay? Hare Krishna. But they're not the same. They're not the same. Hare Krishna. Ask us, don't have any. Bolo. हाँ, कर रहे हैं, but that is not still supreme. That is not still supreme. It is like saying that instead of obeying my father, I am obeying my uncle. Hare Krishna. Huh? You get the point? Rama is avatar. Is avatar with all opulences. In our mantra, we have Rama and Krishna both. Yeah. Is the Vishnu form. There is no problem. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is why in our temple we have Ram Darbar also. We worship Lord Ram. Officially we worship Lord Ram. But Hanuman is not Lord Ram. If somebody says worship of Hanuman and Lord Ram is the same, that is not the same. My father and I also was the worshipper of Lord Hanuman, Hanumanji. When I came to ISKCON, then my father told me that he wants to worship Hanuman. So I said, if you want to worship Hanuman, come and worship in Ram Darbar. Hanumanji will be more pleased if Ram is worshipped. If you individually treat Hanuman more important than Ram, will Hanumanji be pleased? This is the position of all demigods. That is why their worshippers are called as lesser devil.
They are not pleased.
Huh?
They are not pleased.
How can they be pleased? This is what Prabhupada said. The worshipper do not know that what is their position, but they know. So this is very important. This is because of ignorance. So this is why Bhagavad Gita is required, because so many misconceptions we have, and these misconceptions are not from this life. This is coming from many, many past lives. Okay. Hare Krishna. Online, if you have any question, you may ask. If anyone has any question, can ask. To take the names. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you all very much. And please keep coming. Initially, the mind may not, favor you. Why? Because the conceptions which are there in the mind, we have some attachment to retain it. We don't want to give it up. But the ultimate benefit is what the Supreme Lord is doing. And why is speaking Bhagavad Gita? For our ultimate benefit. So please keep coming. Thank you all very much for being here present today. And after the class, we have Prasad for all of you. So please honor Prasad. Hare Krishna. Thank you. What time? 8:30? But you have to be present here. I came in, you came late. This is Kali Yuga. We came before time. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.